Okay, we're going to continue now with some of the solutions that we have to problem 9. And once again, I'm going to show you the thesis for the problem. Kids don't fear anything today. Matter of fact, parents fear their kids more than kids fear their parents. We've already discussed systemic discipline. We know it doesn't work. And kids think this is great because they're getting away with everything. And I would encourage you to take a look at your solutions document, because what you'll find there is 2 articles that I wrote. One of them is entitled Self-Control, There Is None Better. And I wrote it many years ago to draw attention to the fact that we've lost self-control, which is one of the things that we covered in the course. But what I want to focus on here is this. No one gave me a choice when I was going to school. They didn't ask for anything. They told me what to do. I had no out, and I went to a Catholic school. That's why you see the nun on the screen. And that's exactly the title of the article, Self-Control, There's None Better. You didn't do something. They literally made sure that you did do what you were told to do when you were told to do it. There wasn't any questions that were asked. And it wasn't a matter of systemic discipline. It was a matter of them understanding that they could do anything that they needed to do to get us to do what we needed to do. And we're not talking here about physical punishment, although they were allowed to do that, and they were given permission to do that by our parents, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about a place. I had a teacher whose name was Sister Houlihan. She could control a class of 60 boys, and she was 4 feet tall. Now, why can someone of that stature control a classroom full of 60 boys? Well, one of the biggest reasons was there was support between the school and the parents supported one another. And that's something that we have to begin to look at. The support of the parents and the support of the school. And there was a relationship between the school and the parents. I wouldn't dare come home and tell my mom or dad that I was disciplined in school that day. They might find out on their own anyway when the school calls them. And the suggestion that I'm making here is that what we have to do in order to place a little bit of fear inside of these students, healthy fear, fear of not disappointing someone like the teacher or your mother or your father, is there can be no out. There has to be the same answer from the school as there would be from a parent. And that's why we have to have a moral compass in dealing with this stuff. Right is right and wrong is wrong, and both of us have to see it from the same perspective. And there can't be questions like, do you want to go outside? Would you please walk in a straight line? And in Catholic school, do you want to go to church on Wednesday? You had to do it. And if you didn't do it, your parents made you do it, and the school supported your parents, and vice versa. End of discussion. You wanna have kids really have a healthy fear of adults? Then all adults have to start looking at life from the same perspective and take out the gray area that is just creating a visceral response on the part of the parents and at times on the part of the school. The next thing that we have to understand, and there's another article there in your solutions document, is fear is the greatest motivator. If you have a fear of something, fear, by the way, is nothing more than a bell that goes off in your head that says, uh-oh, danger. And kids have to have that bell go off in their head. They have to have the bell go off. It has to say, oh, I better not do that. And that only comes when you know that the answer is the same from both mom and dad, the school, other adults, and so on. That's all there is to it. Kids have to grow up with the ability to respect adults. That's one thing. But they also have to grow up with the ability to communicate with adults. And adults have to communicate with kids. And adults have to change their level of communication as kids grow older. Part of the problem we have in our culture today is that you have too many kids who are older, and I mean like in their 20s and 30s, who are still treated like kids by their parents. Because parents don't know what to do with their kids. Okay, when they start to get older, they think the idea that yelling at them is going to work. Kids need a moral compass. They need to be taught that stuff. And if parents have it, the kids will have it. Then communication can begin to climb up the ladder, and we can get to a point where our kids are our best friend. Not only that, okay, we can communicate with them like they're our best friend. And there has to be that healthy fear. Please read those documents that are in your solution section, the solution documents. And what you're going to discover is something that you may not have thought could happen, is that when there's no way out, kids have to behave in a certain way, but we both have to be seeing eye to eye. Number two, as parents, we have to begin to deal with our kids, okay, at different levels, and as they grow older, communicate with them more as an adult than as a child, and stop treating kids like they're still children. And by kids, I mean older adults, 25, 30 years old. This is what's happening. So what really becomes the problem then is kids, as they grow older, they want to get as far away from their parents as possible. When their parents were the only human resource that they had. The only human resource at their disposal to teach them everything that they needed to know about life, if they would have been open to the constructive suggestion and to the communication that their parents had or tried to have with them. Because ultimately they grow older and they regret not having that relationship and not being taught certain things, and then they blame their parents for not telling them. Blame yourself for not listening to them.